Did you know that Labubu has done $1.8 billion in sales, making popmart now worth $34 billion, which is more money than Mattel, Hasbro, and Sanrio combined, which were previously the three biggest toy companies on Earth. And what's crazy is this toy was actually invented in 2015, yet 10 years later, he's seen with Rihanna, the Lakers, Lisa. He's at fashion shows. There are entire floral arrangements made out of him. And every time we think it's going to end, it somehow just gets bigger. You could even make the argument that Labubu is another example of the it takes 10 years to be an overnight success stories at this point. But how was Labubu even created? Why did he randomly become so popular? And how did this become a multi-billion-dollar empire a decade after its inception? Well, that is exactly the question we set out to solve here today, because I have a theory that this is the result of sociology, recession indicators, psychology, this very fascinating thing we are seeing on the internet. So with that, welcome back to Nikki at Night. I'm your host, Nikki Reardon, and I'm very excited and interested to talk about Labubu today. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I also feel like people are talking about it all the time. I think the marketing of Labubu is so fascinating. I think it is also just this like epitome and epitome of like a lot of things going on in the world that have all resulted in this, like this trend of collectible toys, the way we consume things and trends online, this like TikTokification of products that we've seen essentially. And Labubu is just somehow like perfectly at the epicenter of all of these things. But before that, a few housekeeping items. I have been gone for a while. At this time, you guys will have seen the episode with Sam, which is awesome. I love doing interviews. Very excited to do more of them. But before that, I was gone for an entire month. I went to the Cannes Film Festival. I also went to Japan for 2 weeks. Cannes was for work. Japan for 2 weeks was just my friends for fun. And I had never taken off 3 consecutive weeks of work in my entire life. I have also never been to Cannes. I'd never been to Japan. It was just a really crazy once in a lifetime opportunity, and I was living in the moment. And then when I got back, I really underestimated how much being gone for 3 weeks can like disrupt your life in terms of like doing laundry for 3 weeks and like having to buy food and all this stuff. So I'm very excited and back to be in the swing of things. I miss you guys. I miss doing this. And yeah, I don't know. I just love making these videos. And guys, we are so close to 100K. Oh my God, we are 3,000 subscribers away, which is crazy. That's insane. Like our little baby channel, like she's really, really getting there. So please make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Tell your friend. Also, because I was gone for a while, I'm going to try and do a few bonus episodes this month. So make sure you turn on the notifications because those are not always going to come with the regular Monday upload. It's just whenever they're done, they'll go up. So turn on post notifications and y'all check out this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you name it. Listen to us on your car ride to work, at the gym. You know the drill. If you're listening there now, give us a 5-star rating. It is so helpful for growing the show. But with that, let's dive into, I guess, just sort of like the business and origin of Labubu. I think I'll start a bit with more of like the history and also the marketing, and then kind of end with this sort of like prediction, I guess, but also like I think really like what is indicative of our society. Like when you see something explode in this way across countries, continents, and age groups this quickly, like something becoming a $30 billion industry almost in a year, like it is not a coincidence. It has to be some greater sociological factor, psychological factor, something that we are either craving or an emotion that we are feeling that this thing is validating in some way we're not able to get in other aspects of our life. And I think that is really like the interesting thing when it comes to studying trends like this. You know, like you really want to understand the why and the sociology behind it, because once you understand, I think that human emotion aspect, you can kind of be ahead of it and have more understanding of it going forward. So let's dive into the lore of Labubu, because do you know this lore of how Labubu was invented? Because he actually first appeared in 2015. He was designed by an illustrator named Ka-Sing Lung, who was born in Hong Kong, but raised in the Netherlands, which is why Labubu is based off of Nordic mythology. He first appeared in this series in 2015 called The Monsters, that were all references to Nordic folklore. What's interesting though is Labubu wasn't even really the main character. There actually is another leader of the group and a main character, and other characters like Mokoko, Pato, Spooky, Tycho, but Labubu was for some reason the one that really got popular. He is based off of the Nis, which is sort of a Nordic myth for an elf, and all of the monsters have this sort of cute rabbit look to them, or they have different animal ears. They were all, again, sort of based off this way, but in 2019, he sort of grows in popularity. This franchise sort of grows in popularity a little bit until eventually they do a licensing deal with popmart to do toys. However, his first keychain line was not until 2023. So what was the catalyst that made Labubu so viral? Lisa from Blackpink. That is literally the answer. She was spotted with a Labubu in April of 2024. And if you look on TikTok at the trend data for hashtag Labubu, it is literally flat every year until then. Keep in mind, this toy was made in 2015. Until you see at the very end, at the beginning of March and April 2024, there is a spike in popularity. Literally, Lisa from Blackpink was the first thing that got this viral. It created this huge trend in Thailand and other parts of Southeast Asia. And by August of that same year, it had done $870 million in sales, which is insane. Nearly $1 billion because Lisa from Blackpink was spotted having a cute little toy. And this is why the marketing of Labubu is so genius, because they have gotten a free endorsement from Lisa, Rihanna, Kim Kardashian, Dua Lipa, David Beckham, and made $870 million in 4 months because it was a keychain, because the product was displayed publicly on something that you see every single day, right? You take your purse to the grocery store, you take your purse to the club, like it goes everywhere, which means when these people had the thing, it was photographed everywhere. They were getting millions upon millions of dollars worth of free promotion and endorsements from the biggest celebrities on earth because it was a keychain, essentially, which is so insane and smart. And also just the concept of it, like something about the keychain too, like incentivizes you to have multiple, right? If you have different purses and different colors, or you're wearing different outfits with different colors, like it makes it so they make more money per customer than any regular business does, right? You buy a pair of shoes, you buy in white, maybe you want one other color, maybe, but more than that, you buy a different pair of shoes, right? Labubu really tapped into making it this thing that people bought and bought multiple of. And what's also fascinating is I think it makes the product a tool for community, right? When it's on your purse, it becomes this conversation topic. Whether you love it, whether you hate it, it's something you go and converse with somebody about. Or if you and someone else are both on the subway and you both have a Labubu, like it's a way that sparks a conversation, which creates this like emotional attachment with the product. I also think because of, again, this different colors, this mystery box structure, you trade them with your friends, right? If you get 2 of the blue one, then you give one of the blue ones to your friends and they do something else. And that is, again, it's creating this community around the product. Like it's not just something you buy, it's something that has become a conversation piece, an outfit piece, part of your aesthetic, your look when you go out into the world. And they really amassed millions of dollars worth of free promotion off of this. It's so interesting. And I think also something that we'll see more of. You know, I think similarly, Labubu tapped into something similar that the Hailey Bieber like Rode phone case did with the lip gloss, right? Because it was displayed everywhere, because you saw people taking selfies with it, or if they were recording a video, you saw it in the thing. Like that made it so viral. And I think what's interesting about the marketing and the products these days is now like, how do you create a product that is the most like Instagrammable? How do you create a product that is filmable? Is like something we're really seeing work, or something that just effortlessly integrates itself. Again, like the Labubu on a purse or the lip gloss in your phone case. Like it just makes it so something you're already doing now has the product tied into it. Just going to the grocery store, or just taking a selfie in the mirror is now an advertisement for the brand. And that is a really interesting thing that I think we're going to see a lot more brands try and tap into. It's always been something with clothing. You can think very back to like the early, mall days, and there was like the big logo clothing was in, and the big Hollister t-shirt and the Abercrombie t-shirt. Like they created this sort of subculture and piece of identity around the brand and that logo or that image. And now that I think logo era is behind us, we don't really like logos on things anymore. We found ways to do that with symbols, especially cute little fuzzy symbols. Again, like this is how Disney built a multi-billion-dollar empire, right? Pokemon is another fantastic example. Like there is just something in the human condition that we love cute little things. Like I don't really know why, I don't know how, I don't know where it stems from, but there is like something innate about us that we just love that. And finding ways to, integrate that into your brand is genius. I mean, something when I really noticed when going to Japan is it is everywhere. Like every brand everywhere has a cute little animal mascot. On the subway, the notice signs that were like police officers, instead of a picture, it's like a cute little cartoon drawn police officer saying like, you can't walk down this way unless you paid your fare ticket. Like whatever it is, like they've just really understood this emotional attachment we have to cuteness, and how that draws really lasting memories, I think is so interesting. Like nostalgia and cuteness have so much intertwinedness with each other. Think Pokemon, think Beanie Babies, think Furby, think like all these things, Webkins, these Club Penguin, these things that we remember from our childhood are somehow always cute and cuddly and somehow nostalgic. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that those two things are always linked with one another. And again, that's something that Labubu really tapped into now. And I think why, honestly, a very big reason it was even more successful than a thing like Sonic Angel, which is another product in the same category at the same time, was like Labubu found out how to be a keychain so you could clip it and take it anywhere. And Labubu was like cute and fuzzy. And so honestly, like that is really crazy how well that works. I also think the blind box is one of the craziest marketing tools I have ever seen in my life, because it is essentially selling the idea of gambling. Like you might get that rare one worth more money, and that dopamine rush is addictive. Like it is psychologically proven. We get this dopamine rush we become addicted to when there is this gambling aspect. That's why you can develop a gambling addiction, right? And they have found a way to integrate that with like a cute fuzzy toy. I also think it just makes content, right? There are 1.6 million posts of just hashtag Labubu on TikTok alone. And if you always knew what was inside the box, it's not a video. But the fact that what is inside the box can be one of 10 different things makes it content, right? Like it makes it so there's something to actually watch and like a result at the end that you can't predict. I also think because of that, you see pretty much all of these videos of unboxings is more than one. Pretty much, it's always like 2 or 3 or 10, whatever. Because again, there is this mystery element. Am I going to get the same one that I already got? Or am I going to get this cool one that I really, really want? I really want this one. It also adds this emotional stake, right? Like if you know what you're going to get, it's not that exciting. But when there is a chance that you didn't get it, or maybe the first 2 and you only bought 3 and you didn't get it the first 2 and you're begging on the last one, this is your last chance. Like something about that makes it an enticing video. And Labubu really didn't have to do some massive global campaign or marketing. Like they just created a product that was filmable. They created a product that was worthy of being content just by purchasing. And that made it. Again, they got over 1 billion views on just TikTok alone. Like it is outrageous. I also think, again, it creates this value to buying multiple. It's this value to trading with friends. And also the mystery creates a secondary resale market. They do collab lines with anime or music or shows, and then, oh, well, you have to get your favorite one from that show too. But then, oh my God, there's 10 different characters and I really want this one character. So I had to buy 3 of it, even though I already own a Labubu, but this One Piece collection is exclusive. So I have to get it now. And then I got 2 of the characters that I don't want. So I'm going to give one to my friend. And then that makes my friend love his Labubu. So now he puts it on his little bag or puts it on his outfit. And then somebody else asks him about it, right? Like, do you see how these like social conditions of the products are really, I think, like the most interesting driving marketing force behind it? You know, like it's not like you see Labubu billboards or you watch a YouTube video and there's a big Labubu ad in front of it. It really is this like thing that caught like wildfire organically. And I think that is what is is so fascinating, but it's so hard to do that as a like if any marketer could do that with any product, like it would be happening 8 times a day, right? And I think the reason is this social dynamic of it. It's like what's so interesting about it to me. It's tied into this element of like humanity and mystery. And what's fascinating is like the only reason this is not technically considered gambling is because there isn't an option to go bankrupt, right? Like if you play a game of blackjack, like you can play until you're out of money. But if you spend $40 on a Labubu, like there is gambling in the sense you might get that one super valuable one, but there's no like option of zero, right? Like at the end of the day, you're still getting the product you paid for. But it is tying in that dopamine and that addiction and that rush into the thing. And that is so terrifying because they still get to manipulate the odds so that they always win, right? Like that's the same way a casino does. Like a casino doesn't care if you play 10 rounds of blackjack and you make $50,000. Like it literally does not matter to them because they know that in the 100,000 rounds of blackjack played that night, more people lose than win, so the casino's up, right? Like that is why it is this game of averages in large quantities and large scale. The house always wins. And in this case, popmart is the house, right? Like they are adjusting the frequency of the ones that they know that you want to make them appear less often so that you buy more Labubus. Like that is what mystery boxes are. Like you are gambling, you are buying a lottery ticket. And it doesn't feel that way because there's a cute little thing in front of you in a fun box, but like there is that element to it. And I think that this is absolutely a trend that we will see other places. The idea of a mystery box is here to stay. Like that is a trend that is going to continue in all products. My prediction is that somebody's going to do with sneakers what Labubu has done with a mystery box. Like Nike is going to sell a mystery box pair of shoes where like one of the options is like a shoe that's worth 10 grand, but all of the other shoes are like normal, like Air Force Ones or whatever. And you pick your size and you're guaranteed to get a shoe in your size, but you don't know what you want or what you're going to get. And that concept of like the mystery box is going to be something that I think integrates itself into other products, especially I think fashion and like streetwear culture, you know, sneakerheads is so easy to do because they're already accustomed to this idea of like that one exclusive thing or that one limited edition product. That's very much the way fashion has monetized itself always. And I think that it's really happening right now with toys, but I could totally see it expanding. And that's just how secondary resale markets work. Like, did you know there are 3 Labubus worth over $2,000 each? There is this one called the Zimono King, which is worth $2,500. The Zimomo Altair, that is $3,200. And then the most expensive one is the Labubu Vans Old School, which is a collaboration they did with Vans of him wearing all these old school Vans clothings. And what's fascinating is that this is the exact same tactic that designer fashion brands use. It is called engineered exclusivity. You create a certain limited edition line of the product with a fixed supply so that they resell for a ridiculous amount. Like you intentionally do not sell as many as you know you can so that it becomes a status symbol. It becomes exclusive. So having that thing kind of becomes a flex. You see it at fashion shows or with major celebrities or these big events, or how a Labubu art piece recently sold for $150,000. It now has become this symbol of like high fashion, high art. So that once it's a status symbol, it becomes desirable for normal people. So they all want to go and buy the cute little $40 version they can afford. So you create this limited edition thing to sell less, to inflate the demand so that when you do buy one with a more affordable, like a $40 price point, they sell more of them. Nike has done this all the time. Again, like there are Nike sneakers worth, 10 grand, 20 grand, even more than that sometimes. But most of the Nikes you see on a daily basis are, $100, $50, $70, whatever. But by doing that, they created this ideology around this brand, the status symbol around the brand, so that wearing Nikes, owning Nikes is more desirable. And that is what Labubu was doing, essentially. It's super, super interesting. And that is the way that psychology intersects with marketing. At the end of the day, like the way we consume things and desire things and want things is a result of our own psyche, what we find desirable, what we find undesirable. And that is, I think, where this like psychological aspect really comes in. I have a theory that the popularity of Labubu is because of our psychology and the epidemic of loneliness and this sort of declining economy. Like, it is so fascinating to me that in a time where we have less third spaces, less human connection, it's harder to date than ever. Like, we are just lonely people, that a cute little fuzzy toy that you carry around everywhere has become a multi-billion-dollar product, right? Like, it is kind of selling you on this idea of like, one, that quick hit of dopamine in your mystery box, and then two, oh, you have this cute little thing. They're trying to sell you on the idea of companionship, right? Like, when you don't have a person around you to make you feel good, at least here's this cute little thing. I also think it is indicative of the recession. I made videos about. There is this principle called the lipstick effect, which is a thing that I think it was invented in 2001 by one of the people, the former CEO of Estee Lauder, where they noticed that in times of a recession, lipstick always became their number one selling product. Why? Because when the economy is bad, people don't have money to spend on the big things, like a big makeup palette or whatever. So they want something for that quick hit of dopamine still, but they don't have the money to spend on a nice big thing. So they buy something small, something cute, something you can fit in your purse to fulfill that need for them, right? That is where lipstick has been linked with like every recession we've had since then, the 2008 recession, the 2001 recession, the pandemic. And I think Labubu is a perfect example of that. Like stuffed animals also, you can think of Beanie Babies around Y2K or Furby around Y2K. You can think of like Webkins around 2008. You can think of Squishmallows during the pandemic, and you can think of Labubus now, right? Like there's something tied to this idea of like, I can't buy something big and nice. I can't buy a new purse. Let me buy this cute little thing I can put on a purse I already have. I'm feeling lonely and anxious. So let me buy this cute little thing that I always get compliments on, or always starts a conversation, or just makes me feel good, or is fun to dress up, Like, it's so interesting to me that when nobody can afford to have babies anymore, that people are buying Labubus and putting little clothes on them, like doing all these, like, you're nurturing it. You are treating it like a child. And that is because we don't have disposable income. Like, the number one reason people aren't having kids is not because we don't want to. I think lots of people love the idea of becoming a mother or a father, but like a kid on average costs 500 grand and it's years of like development. Like, that's out. Nobody can afford that. So we're buying a Labubu for 40, and like that also, it makes you feel less guilty, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's just so much interesting. Again, like I think that the way we respond to the world around us is so often done through consumerism. Like, when the way we spend our money is so indicative of the way that we feel as human beings. It is really like a Gen Z millennial thing. Like, most of the people buying this are not children. They are working adults. And again, that's like kind of adding to my feeling, I think, about anxiety and, this idea of not being able to have children, and this idea of like economic uncertainty. Like, it is not really a kid's toy. Like, I don't really see Labubus on backpacks of the kids walking home in my neighborhood. I see Labubus on the purse of full-grown adults at a restaurant or whatever, like that. It's so interesting that the majority of this viewer and consumer base is actually adults. Like, we're selling toys and dolls to adults, which is super, super interesting. I also think like something interesting we're really seeing, and I haven't thought of a term for this. It's something I would love to like do a full video about one day, is trends keep getting bigger because they are documented more and more because of the internet and social media and short form video. And that has created this self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, is it actually growing in popularity, or did you just see a video of a line at the store and see a video of someone putting it on their bag and then seeing them online on an Instagram photo and seeing videos of the pop-ups and the content? So that makes you think like, oh, a lot of people like this thing. I should buy one. I feel left out. It's this FOMO marketing. And that creates this self-fulfilling prophecy because you felt left out that you should go and buy one, which and then is actually increasing it in popularity. So like, in actuality, is it actually growing in popularity, or are you just subjected to seeing these things more, right? Like you saw a line of 100 people outside of a popmart. So you're like, whoa, this thing is so cool. Whoa, this thing is exclusive. Whoa, this thing is hard to get. Whoa, there's this social proof element of other people like this thing. So if I don't like it or if I'm not familiar with it, what do I like about the thing? And I think this is true of like all internet phenomena, like something I very much felt this with like Chapel Roan blowing up in music last year. I felt like it was I had many friends even tell me this. And I also just think like I observed it on the internet of like when she really started popping off, like her shows at these music festivals kept getting so big that it kept being reported on that she would have to like be moved from the small stage to the main stage, or she had a bigger crowd than the headliner. So then there became all of this buzz about like seeing Chapel Roan at that music festival. So then the next festival, she would be even bigger, which made it so she was bigger than the headliner again, or they had to move her stages again, which like, right? Like it created this self-fulfilling prophecy almost, where like the dominoes just kept falling down, it kept snowballing. And that is this like aspect of the internet that I think is super, super interesting of like, it, like you can never, sometimes you're not even sure if the thing is more popular or are you just like subjected to seeing it more often is a really interesting thing. And I also think it really proves that like the best marketing of today is like things that can be turned into a TikTok, like things that can be turned into a video. Like that is why the Hailey Bieber Rode phone case went viral. It's why Labubu goes viral. It's why all the things about Brat and the Brat wall and all these things went viral, right? Like like they were focused on creating real life experiences that were documented for the internet, which is very kind of existential in this weird way. Like I think about this all the time with like billboards, especially. I'm like, who spends money on a billboard? Like a billboard's so stupid. But really, like what the point of a billboard is in 2025 is like to be somebody's Instagram story, right? Like that's where the return on investment is coming from. Like nobody's really paying attention to it while you're driving. But if you can do something that's like funny and clippable or just worthy sharing or sending to a friend, now that becomes extremely positive return on investment. And a lot of the best billboards or things, again, talking about like the Brat wall, like that was a genius marketing ploy because thousands and thousands of people kept going to it and filming it and documenting it. So it made more money because of the internet. And it's interesting that I think some of the most viral campaigns on the internet are now things that are done in real life, which is weird. Again, also, I think there's this exclusivity factor about it, like seeing a video of something that's like only in New York City, you're like, like that's so cool. Erewhon is another fantastic example of this. Erewhon blowing up on the internet so much. Like I think most Californians, people, as someone who lives in Los Angeles, like we don't really care about Erewhon that much. It's like, it's an expensive grocery store, dude, but like every time I have a friend that wants to visit, it's like, oh my God, can we go to Erewhon? Oh my God, can we go? I want to try the smoothie, blah, blah, blah. And I think so much of that desire came from this denial. Like they didn't get to have it. So now at the one time they have the opportunity to, it's like you have to. But I feel many different ways about Labubu as a concept. I think one of the initial scary desires is like Labubu is so bad for the environment. Producing fabric is so bad for the environment. You don't need 4 Labubus and you're going to throw them away in 5 years, just the same way you did with Beanie Babies. It is the exact same thing. No one cares about Beanie Babies anymore. 10 years from now, you are not going to care about Labubus anymore. And they're all going to end up in a landfill. Like next to the Furbies, next to the Beanie Babies, next to the Webkins is going to be a pile of Labubus that just sit there for 40 years destroying our planet. Like that is a really terrifying thing to me, but also like I can't judge because I just went to Japan and spent $400 at the Pokemon store. So like, is the call coming from inside the house? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. Just because Labubu hasn't like gotten me the same way and I don't have this like deep-rooted nostalgia the same way I do for Pokemon, it's very easy to judge from the outside. But it's something I think about, like this producing fabric is so bad for the environment. Also, I have a theory that Labubu is going to be like a generational cringe the way that the millennial mustache was, or when Home Goods used to put like an avocado on every random product. There is this theory called the snob effect, which is essentially when something becomes liked by so many people, psychologically people want to dislike it to feel some feeling of superiority or some feeling of like, I'm not like other girls, essentially, right? There is this psychological word called reactance, which is a motivational response where people do the opposite of what's popular or expected because they feel that their freedom of choice is being threatened. I think this is very much perpetuated and grown on the internet. And I also think a lot of these products operate in sort of like a cringe curve. You know, something starts niche and then it becomes exclusive. Then, because it's a status symbol, it becomes viral in this topic of conversation. And then, when it's viral, it becomes oversaturated and overdone. And then it becomes cringe because so many people have it that it's kind of annoying until 5 years later, it becomes nostalgic. And like that is the life cycle of every random cute product all the time. The only ones that have really been able to do it well, I think, are things like Sanrio. Hello Kitty is huge in Japan. Huge. I always knew it was huge in Japan, but did not realize how much it was until I went there. In America, it's Disney and Pokemon. Disney and Pokemon. I think Pokemon is actually the most valuable IP on Earth. I think they like some marketing thing. I think it was like because of, I don't remember. Something I saw said that. And Disney is for sure up there, but the reason Disney was able to maintain that momentum is because they like built a lifestyle around the thing, which leads us into the prediction section of this video, where, mark my words, there is going to be a Labubu movie in development in less than 1 year. Like, they are at a point where they need to copy the Disney playbook or the Pokemon playbook if they want to stick around. And the two things that those brands really knew how to do was create a media empire around the product, right? Like, the reason that we are all still excited about Stitch is because there was Stitch movies and a remake, and he's at Disney World, and then he's on T-shirts, and he's on merch, and then it's a little stuffed animal, and then you put stuffed animal in your backpack, blah, 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 right? Like, they knew how to create a life cycle around this thing. And Labubu is at that stage where I think a Labubu animated movie would absolutely crush if done well, and it could be very adorable. You know, Pokemon did this and they understand this so well, right? They had TV shows, they had movies, they did that to sell the cards, to sell the video games, to sell the products, right? Like, if Labubu is going to stay, it needs to follow that sort of playbook. And I'm very interested to see if they can pull that off. Because no one has really, I think, pulled it off to that degree since Pokemon, which again was made, I think the first game was in 1999, question mark, maybe even earlier, and also has been kept alive by, again, there being a video game all the time. Also, could we get a Labubu video game? Would not surprise me. Would not surprise me. And this is something that Mattel really has finally figured out recently, right? Like, Hello Kitty has had TV shows and movies. Pokemon has had TV shows and movies. Disney has had TV shows and movies. And finally, they realized how much the Barbie movie did for their brand, especially, again, in terms of building that nostalgia so that they could sell more products. And now we're getting a Polly Pockets movie. We're getting a Hot Wheels movie. There's going to be a Mattel cinematic universe. So, like, it's very interesting to see how Labubu can, integrate himself that way, or if he does. I think what is so interesting about Labubu is it is this like perfect storm of marketing in the age of the internet. It is the mystery boxes that create viral content because you have to buy multiples of them and you don't know what the ending is, and there's always going to be a big reaction. It is this accessibility, the fact that it's on a purse, so it gets spotted with celebrities and they get paparazzi'd, which makes it more viral. It is this community factor of how people like to trade them and collect them and talk about them. Like, that is what marketing has become. It is creating a real thing that is good at being documented on the internet. That is what the Hailey Bieber phone case did. It is what Pokemon has done. It is what Disney has done for decades. And it is what Labubu is at, where Labubu is at now. And we are really going to see, like, can Labubu become Disney? Can it become Hello Kitty? Can it become Pokemon? There's a very strong chance it can. Like, this is how it is so popular. It's $1.8 billion. And this was not even like a really sellable product 2 years ago. And that is such a, like, we're really going to, I don't know. I just think I'm very fascinated in it from that perspective. It is terrifying in the stage, in the essence of like late stage capitalism, ultimate consumerism, and very indicative of how like quick people are to hop on a trend and like you just like, cute, bye. Like there is this interesting human psychology element of that. But I do think that Labubu is this like indicator for where we are in the world of how we desire things and how we covet exclusivity and how we deem something desirable and valuable. like you can trace an example back tied to Labubu to all of those things somehow, some way, which is so interesting. So I hope this was an interesting one. I don't know if you guys really like this as deep as a marketing on a toy. It's kind of like a new video topic for me, but I'm very interested in what is going to happen with Labubu from here. And let me know, do you guys have one? Are you into it? Are you a hater? Are you experiencing a bit of that snob effect where everyone has one, so it just makes you not want one? I kind of get it, you know, but again, also I spent $400 at the Pokemon store. So like, what am I going to do? But thank you all so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Spotify, please. We're so close to our goal of 100K. You're going to see me cry on camera when that happens. So get used to it. And again, turn on your post notifications for bonus episodes, and I'll see you all soon.